tongue, I don't like the taste. I'm on in the morning, I own my opponent. I'm always in the zone, need a zone, out of zone. And then we can get it poppin', pick the topic if you want them. Skip the shining, skip the hopping, took these sports and made a profit. Alright, undisputed.
Good morning and welcome to Undisputed, live from Los Angeles. I'm Jenny Taft in for Joy Taylor today, along with Skip Bayless and Shannon.
How you doing, big man?
I'm good.
Good.
How you doing, Jenny?
I'm well.
So, Jenny, let me get over here. I got to explain something to you. This is how this show works. Everything I say, you say, yeah, I agree with that. And everything he says, you scoff at and roll your eyes at. That's how we do this on the show.
Jenny and I, we were sitting next to each other in the production meeting.
Yeah.
We already got this worked out.
Oh, you got it worked out?
Yeah, we already got this worked out.
Joy, I miss you. Come back soon.
Yeah.
To be determined, guys. Well, we're going to start this off with a controversial topic in the NFL. The decision by Colin Kaepernick and other athletes to protest the national anthem has reached the Supreme Court. Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, very strong opinions on the subject, telling Katie Couric that she agrees with the right to protest but doesn't agree with the action. Take a listen.
I think it's really dumb of them. Would I arrest them for doing it? No. I think it's dumb and disrespectful. I would have the same answer if you asked me about flag burning. I said, I think it's a terrible thing to do, but I wouldn't lock a person up for doing it. I would point out how ridiculous it seems to me to do such an act. If they want to be stupid, there's no law that should be preventive. If they want to be arrogant, there's no law that prevents them from that. What I would do is strongly take issue with the point of view that they are expressing when they do that.
Wow, Shannon, what is your reaction to Justice Ginsburg's comments?
Skip, I have the utmost respect for Justice Ginsburg. She's been a very good champion for a lot of causes, for a lot of minorities over the course of her tenure on this very prestigious and high court. But she's just looking at the facts of the case. And the fact is, Colin Kaepernick is taking a knee during the national anthem. And that she has a problem with. But she needs to be very careful, because her opinions carry more weight than Colin Kaepernick's knee, more weight than a raised fist. Mm-hmm. So she needs to be very, very, very careful, because there's a chance or a probability, maybe even a likelihood, that something of this nature could reach her court. See, when she says it's stupid, arrogant, there are a lot of people that thought the march in Selma was stupid and dumb. The march on Washington was stupid and dumb. I would ask Justice Ginsburg that when you see a man crying, don't tell him to stop crying. Ask him, say, sir, why are you crying? Why are you hurting? What is hurting you so bad and causing you so much pain that you would cry? And then not listen to him, but hear him. When he tells you, Justice Ginsburg, there's a problem going on in our society, that we are seeing far too many unarmed black men dying at the hands of police with no accountability ever taking place. Then after you listen to him and you hear him, then if you want to have an opinion, you're welcome to it. See, she has a different view of what that flag represents. And Skip, from the very beginning, you and I have said, the flag represents a lot of things to a lot of different people. But she was very, very careful. She kept it strictly about the flag. She didn't say military. She didn't say veterans.
Nope.
She kept it about the flag, because that is the facts. That is the act that she wants to speak on, because she doesn't want to broaden this scope, because she realizes and she knows what her opinions mean. She got into a little trouble earlier this year when she spoke on Donald Trump. And there are a lot of people that took issue with that. And she's like, you know what? I spoke out of turn. I should not have said what I said. I apologize.
You think there's a chance she would back off these comments?
Probably not, Skip, because she's talking about the act. See, she doesn't care why he's doing it. That's unimportant to her. All she is seeing is the visual optics of someone not standing at attention when the national anthem is being played and that flag is waving in the wind. That's the only thing she wants to talk about. She knows, because if she's smart enough to understand and know what he's doing, she knows now why he's doing it. But she doesn't want to touch that issue because, let's just say for the sake of argument, something of this magnitude comes to her court, and she's already offered a strong opinion that she's not in favor of this. Now she might have to recuse herself from being even hearing this.
She might.
So, Skip, I love Justice Ginsburg, and like I said, she's been a very good champion for a lot of minorities and but I wholeheartedly disagree. And if she was any other person, I would not take issue with her opinion. But because her opinion carries so much weight, and she is paid, and she sits in a position where her opinions matter, she's paid and she's sworn to justice to offer an opinion, be it a majority opinion for or a dissenting opinion against. So that's different than you and I having an opinion, Skip, because she's sworn and her opinions mean something. So she needs to be very, very careful because people will look at her and says, hold on, here's a woman that sits on the highest court in the land, looks down and says, this is dumb, this is stupid, and the athletes that are doing it are arrogant. So tread very, very carefully, Justice Ginsburg.
Yes. I appreciate everything you just said. I must admit, I was shocked by her comments, given all that we've talked about over the last month on this show. And I dare say, if she had spoken what she spoke to Katie Couric, was it yesterday or the day before maybe? If she had done this a month ago, I think it would have been a blow to the Colin Kaepernick-inspired national anthem movement that I think has done so much good for the issue you just brought up. Because I'm hoping that Colin Kaepernick's original, I'm going to call it courageous act. I told you how I felt I'm just a white guy, and I'm a God and country guy, so when I first saw him not stand for the anthem, I told you I cringed about it until I heard what he said. And the more he spoke, the more I came around to his message, which cannot get lost in the way he chose to protest.
Right.
I'm not saying it was the greatest way to choose, but you kept making the point from the start. A protest is designed to make people uncomfortable. And as long as you don't alienate those people, as long as their ears and eyes stay open to your message, you have won. You have succeeded. And I think Colin Kaepernick and those who chose to follow him inspired a national conversation that was desperately needed in this country. It brought some attention to and a lot of awareness to an issue that had gone unaddressed, as we keep talking about. White cops killing defenseless black men without any justice at all, any form of checks and balances.
And even some black cops killing unarmed black men, because sometimes there's an implicit bias that you don't even know you possess.
So, back to our Supreme Court Justice. She completely dismissed Colin Kaepernick's message. She paid no respect to it whatsoever. She didn't say, I get what he's saying and I hear what he's saying. She dismissed the way he chose to protest it and dismissed it as really dumb and stupid, and introduced the idea of incarceration like she actually considered, would I put somebody in jail for this? No, I wouldn't. But she introduced the idea like she actually had thought through the prospect of, should somebody go to jail for this? That's how strongly she feels.
Yes.
And then she equates it to the burning of the flag. That's how much the national anthem means to Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And to your point, remember, all the way up the ladder, she has fought for women's rights, for equal pay. She has known injustice and persecution within her own world. And just a couple of quick points. She's fought for women's rights within Judaism. Well, she was working for the Social Security Department at age 22, and she got demoted because she became pregnant, so she had to fight against that. This is going back to 1956, but her Harvard Law School class, there were 9 women and 500 men, and one of the deans asked all the women, how do you justify taking a spot from a qualified man? This is what she was battling against all the way up the ladder. And as she first went out into the workforce and tried to get a job after law school, she struggled to find a position because she had a 5-year-old daughter and because she was Jewish. So she's known these fights. She knows, we could argue all day about which is the more important fight between your fight and her fight, but still she's known minority fights.
Yes.
And so I thought it would be dear to her heart, the message that Colin was attempting to convey here, but she just said, no, it's really dumb, it's arrogant, and it's stupid. Really?
Yes.
Well, that's just so dismissive with giving him no quarter at all. No acknowledgement of, I know what he was trying to say, but this is not the way to say it.
Right.
That would have been the correct way for...
But you have to understand, Skip, she is a lawyer, and she can only look at the fact and the act. Because if she goes beyond that, and this comes before her court, and she's already offered an opinion, now, there are going to be some lawyers that's going to say, we don't really think that Justice Ginsburg should be able to hear this because she's already formulated an opinion. She's already offered this opinion to a Katie Couric, and they're going to offer the date and the time. They're going to say, introduce this. So she can't do that. But Justice Ginsburg, what we ask you is that the justice, and you're talking about should they be put in jail, that's the questions we're asking of these police officers that keep shooting these unarmed black men.
Yes.
Can we get some justice for them?
I hear you. So now in the larger picture, I can tell you what's going to happen. A whole lot of people who love that flag are going to step up today and say, I told you so.
Right.
And it's going to hurt the movement, but I'm trying to make the point to you, and I hope you're with me on this. I think the movement went far enough to create the appropriate awareness.
Yes.
Is that possible? Did you feel that?
I believe, I totally believe it, because we're seeing it in colleges. We're seeing it at the youth level. So this is not only a professional athlete thing now. This is not only where you see guys in the National Football League taking a knee or raising their fist. We see this in college. We see it in band members at universities. We see it at the youth level, at the high school level. So it's big now. And the thing is, look, the flag, and Skip, I like to try to be abundantly clear. The flag does not represent all things to all people. The flag is supposed to be the land of the free, the home of the brave, and the opportunity that you can become and almost do anything you want in America. But it's also, that flag has represented so much harm and despair that it's caused to a lot of people. That flag does not mean the same thing to a Native American as it does a Caucasian American. It does not mean the same thing to some black Americans as it does a Caucasian American. So stop trying to force and say, this is what it means to me. Okay, I'm fine if it means that to you. But I'm talking about it from a different perspective than you. Because you have not, as a white male in America, there has been no laws enacted that said you could go play on a team. There have been no amendments made that says you can go do this. But women, African Americans, minorities, LGBT communities, there have been laws. Name the law. I want the law that said a white man had the right to do anything besides being born white. Just one time, women had to fight for the right to vote. Blacks had to fight for the right to vote. The vote that was guaranteed us, we had to wait 200 years to get it. Why? And you think that flag means the same thing to me as it does to you that had these rights? That I had to go to the back of the bus? So I had to sit in the back of the stadium?
I got it. So is she being terribly insensitive?
I believe she is. I believe she is. And like you, Skip, you always preface, when we talk about issues about race, you say, Shannon, I'm speaking about this from a white male in America, so I can't speak to your experience. You always preface it by that. But what you were also willing to do, Skip, always have, and I've only known you for a couple of years, you've always been willing to listen. It says, okay, I'm the white male in America. Why are these black men, why is this community so up in arms about what's transpiring? Let me hear. I see them crying. And instead of telling them to shut up and stop crying, I need to ask, why are you crying? What is causing this pain, this hurt, that you're so upset and you're so angry that you would do this when you know the outcry that it's going to cause? Because most white Americans love the flag. So you know if you do something to the flag, it's going to cause a reaction.
And by the way, don't a lot of black Americans love the flag too? Yeah, I mean, I get the history.
Yes,
yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. And the thing is that you know the reaction by doing what you're doing is going to cause. Mm-hmm. And Colin Kaepernick says absolutely. Because then, when you ask me why I did what I did, I can tell you. Because see, before then, I don't only want your attention, I want your undivided attention. And the only way that I can get that is to do something that the very thing that America stands, because you see that more than anything. You see the stars and stripes, and you see the star, and you see the flag waving. Mm-hmm. Oh, so that's what it is. And so now Colin Kaepernick is saying, okay, now you know why I'm doing it. Mm-hmm. It's not about the flag. It wasn't about the veterans. It's not about the military. I'm trying to bring attention to the thousands and thousands of unarmed black men that's dying at the hands of police officers with no accountability. There is no judgment of the minorities, the women, the LBGT community that's suffering inequities in our society. Okay, this is where we are right now. So let's stop talking about the flag. Let's stop talking about the protests. Let's stop talking about the military. Because, okay, Judge Ginsburg, this is what I'm willing to do, and all these other. I wouldn't have a problem getting on my show or any show and telling all the minorities and all the athletes, guys, stand. And when the national anthem starts to play, I want you to put your right hand over your heart. And then come Monday, Judge Ginsburg and all the people that have a problem with the protests, can we talk about the issues that led to the protests? That's what we really want to talk. That's what we want to talk about. We want to talk about what's leading guys to raise their fists.
I got it. You have led me to my final question to you. So Colin has gone from sitting for the anthem to just kneeling for the anthem to show some respect. He sort of took the middle ground.
Yes.
And now, would it be a powerful statement to go ahead and stand and put your hand over your heart like I took my stand while sitting and kneeling?
Yes.
Would it send a stronger message? Would it sort of validate the message? Now I'm back. I'm still with America.
Right.
Or would it look like he is caving or acquiescing or becoming that terrible term, that house term, you know, what I'm talking about? Are you becoming that guy again? No, you're not becoming that guy. But would it look like that? You tell me. What would be the right move off her comments? Now, is her comments, are they a watershed moment where now Colin Kaepernick says, okay, I'll go ahead and stand for this anthem. I'll show you I'm with you, America, but I want you to remember my message, because it went on for a month.
Yes.
We talked, there's been, maybe we didn't do it yesterday, right on the show, but in the month plus we've been on the air, we haven't missed a day talking about this issue except for yesterday.
We've done it on numerous occasions. Okay. So Colin Kaepernick and all the rest of the minorities in America, they stand again. And they put their right hand over the heart. Are they going to come to the table with solutions, police reform, and how they deal with our communities? Because if you're not, because see, here's the thing that I'm afraid of, Skip, is that if we start to stand again and we put our hands over our heart again when the national anthem is being played, you're still not wanting to come to the table. You're still not wanting to have police reform in how you engage and interact with the African American community and minorities. So see, it was really never about, it was really never about the flag.
But that has to start in police departments across this country.
Right.
I don't know, because I'm not connected to police departments, but I got to believe that there's action afoot here. I got to believe that things are taking place at the lowest levels in police departments trying to correct this problem.
Correction can only take place if you believe a mistake has been done.
True.
How many times when a police officer does something wrong, the rest of his brother and the union stand so united behind him. See, they won't even acknowledge or admit that there's something wrong or they've done something wrong. See, that's the problem. See, that's the first part of answers and resolution. I've done wrong. I've made a mistake. Okay, let's come to a resolution. Let's see how we can solve this problem. I'm all for it, Skip.
Neither way, the conversation is starting.
Yes.
And I look forward to hearing if Justice Ginsburg responds to these comments. But we are going to switch gears coming up. Want to find out what Skip and Shannon think about Tiger's stunning decision? We'll discuss that next.
No mercy, no mercy.
In November's Turkish Airlines Open, Tiger hasn't played in a tournament in over a year because of 2 back surgeries. He didn't say his health was the problem, but said his game was, quote, vulnerable. Tiger added, after a lot of soul searching and honest reflection, I know that I am not yet ready to play on the PGA Tour or compete in Turkey. My health is good and I feel strong, but my game is vulnerable and not where it needs to be. It's not up to my standards, and I don't think it would be up to yours. Shannon, what do you make of all this from Tiger?
It's over.
Wow.
Little did Tiger know on a November night in 2009, the Tiger Woods that we all knew would never be again, Skip. He will never, ever be that guy again. And I can't understand why. It's almost like, Skip, is that when he was on prior to 2009, he would go up to the first tee and everybody was looking directly at him. Everybody was in front of the televisions looking at him. They were in awe of what they were about to see. A guy that could drive the ball 300 feet, 300 yards, could put it in the middle of the fairway like someone walked it down there and placed it 100 yards from the pin. And then this happened. And those very eyes that looked at him in amazement and in awe looked at him in disgust and anguish. How could you? For the very first time, they looked at him as being a fraud because you're not what you portrayed yourself to be. You're not the loving husband. I don't question whether or not he was a great dad or anything like that, but I'm just saying from the perspective and the perception, people looked at him in a different light. For the very first time in his life, Tiger Woods wasn't the Tiger Woods, the great golfer. He was an adulterer. And how dare you do this? It was almost like, and people looking at Tiger like, we buy your club, they bought the clubs actually thinking they could hit the ball 300 yards like he could. And they could go to one of these golf courses that he play on and they could shoot 65. It wasn't about the club. It was about they took it personal that he could do what he did. Like he's the only athlete ever, or the only famous person ever to do what he did in the prime of his career. Entertainers, the movie stars get divorced in the prime of their career. CEOs, nothing. But it was because of Tiger. And Tiger could not let that go. He could not get that out of his mind. I'm not saying the way he trained, the military type training that he did, Skip.
Navy SEAL.
Right. The running of the mile, the endless miles in army boots and doing what he did. I'm not saying that didn't speed up the process of his body tearing down. But the one body part that went before his knees and his back and his ankles was his mind. And in that game, I don't play, Skip. I don't even go. Only reason I started watching golf was because of Tiger. But my brother tells me, he say,
and by the way, your brother is obsessed with golf.
He is obsessed with it, and he's a very good golfer.
He is.
He says, Shannon, it's the hardest thing I've ever had to do. And you're talking about he was a great football player. He played basketball. He ran track. He says there's nothing comparable to it. He says because you can 1 minute, one hole, you can be great, and then the next you be 10 over on the next shot. He says nothing is comparable to it. And that's what's happened to Tiger. Once his mind went, the body, the back, the knee, the ankles, the Achilles, nothing else mattered. Because in his mind, he wasn't in his mind. The one thing that great athletes possess more than anything else, it's not their body, it's not the physicality, it's the mental state. I can block out everything. And you've heard people say when they're getting ready to take the last shot, or they're catching, or they're throwing the ball, the crowd is silent. Tiger Woods, 10 feet away from people, could block all that out, drive it right down the middle of the fairway, 20-foot putt to win.
Don't miss this. He was the greatest clutch putter we've ever seen. That's how he won those major championships.
And Skip, maybe it was something maybe we could have seen, maybe could have seen this coming. Is that Y.E. Yang walked him down in 2009. And it just so happens.
That was pre-Thanksgiving.
Right.
The big incident.
But maybe this has been, because we had never seen this before, Skip.
He'd never blown a lead after 54 holes of a major championship.
Yeah. And I would say coordination. I'm like, okay, this is about to be number 15. Oh, he's well on his way.
I agree.
And then I'm like, you never heard of Y.E. Yang again? And you only heard of Tiger in name only, because he was never the same guy.
Never the same. No. So you're going D-O-N-E done. Like he'll never ever be remotely Tiger Woods again.
He might win a tournament that he's familiar with, say Bay Hill. He's played so many times. Or maybe goes to Jack tournament, the Memorial. Maybe something like that where he's very, very, very familiar with. He might can win one of those. He's never going to win another major. No way.
I agree with that. I'm not so sure about winning another PGA tournament. And I'll tell you why. Just to frame this for you. I've had my battles over the years with Tiger Woods. He's taken some shots at me. I've taken my shots back in his heyday. But yesterday, truly, from my heart, I felt sorry for this man. Because yesterday was a significant shift for Tiger Woods because he didn't make the usual excuse. My back just hasn't come around, or now my shoulder's bothering my elbow. He's had every injury known to man. Didn't make any physical excuse. He made mental and psychological excuses, not excuses. He gave those reasons because he's talking about soul searching and honest reflection, and my game is vulnerable. Tiger Woods said publicly in a written statement, my game is vulnerable. It has come to this for the most dominating golfer we've ever seen and maybe ever will see, and certainly the most exciting golfer I've ever seen. Not even close. You can give me Arnold Palmer or Jack Nicklaus, throw them all out. There was nothing like Tiger. And I feel sorry for him because the world keeps clinging to Tiger. Maybe, and here's why. Tiger Woods is trapped in golf's no man's land. Because remember, we once saw a few years back, Tom Watson at age 59, almost 60, almost won the British Open. All he had to do is make 4 on 18, and he chose the wrong club and made 5 and wound up in a playoff with Stuart Sink. Tom Watson almost won the British Open at 60 years of age. Tiger is now 40. Is he a broken golfer? You nailed it. Yes, he is. He is as broken as you can get. And we've seen great golfers like a David Duval. I don't know if you remember David, but he rose to #1, did win the British Open, and then he just lost it. We saw Ian Baker Finch, a great golf commentator now, win the British and just lose it because of what your brother keeps telling you. The demons can inflict you so quickly. They can get so deep in your psyche that you just can't figure out how to play again. And I think that's happening to Tiger. But the problem is, he's only 40, and everybody knows that Phil Mickelson, and this is what drove him to make that statement yesterday. Remember, he committed to this Safeway Open, this tournament, back in his old stomping grounds up near Stanford, where he went to school. And all of a sudden, the people who run the tournament paired him with his worst nightmare, with Phil Mickelson. Phil is 6 years older than Tiger, and Phil is playing some of the best golf of his life. You remember this year's British Open? That was one of the greatest last-round shootouts we've ever seen, right, with Henrik Stenson. And Phil finished second, but it wasn't because he wasn't trying, man, because he hung right in to the bitter end. And then at the Ryder Cup, Phil Mickelson was spectacular at age 46, and Tiger saw it up close and personal as the vice captain. He witnessed his old rival. He's not a rival anymore because Tiger's not Tiger anymore. But once upon a time, this was his arch rival. His arch rival is 6 years older and playing dominating golf. And so you're telling Tiger, oh, your comeback tournament, you're going to be measured by, because you're paired with Phil Mickelson? That's unfair. It's unholy. You know, like he can't measure up to Phil right now. And so I don't blame you saying, I can't do this. he said my game's effectively not worthy of playing with pro golfers. Well, it's not worthy of playing with Phil right now. So that pairing alone drove him to make this statement, and I don't blame him a bit. But people look at Phil and know that Phil looks like at 50 and beyond, he could still be capable of winning a major championship. Mm-hmm. So people say, why couldn't Tiger? So the world that misses Tiger dearly, because trust me on this, my mom's obviously white, so she, you know, she's a big golfer and a golf nut. I can't tell you how much she misses Tiger Woods, because for a while Tiger was the only reason she watched golf. Mm-hmm. So there are a whole lot of white people who are saying just the same thing that you might say as a black man, like, boy, we miss Tiger. We miss Tiger too. But Tiger misses Tiger. We get all this. But the problem is we keep clinging to something that hasn't been there for years, because obviously he won the 2008 U.S. Open, was his last, remember, on his quote-unquote broken leg. That was what he had, the broken leg. But whatever, in the knee issue. Mm-hmm. But the problem is I haven't seen remotely that Tiger in any major sense. That's a long time. We're 8 years and counting. To your point, that guy is no more. But we keep thinking, oh, surely he can build his game back up. And then there were some Jesper Permvik comments the other day, which I did not understand. He had his issues because he had introduced Tiger, of course, to his first wife. That's what this is about. But then Jesper talked about, oh, you wouldn't believe Tiger's crushing it, and he's striping it, and he's making every putt he looks at. And then Tiger releases a statement, and we're all dumbfounded because the golfers want Tiger to come back. He made everybody much wealthier. Much wealthier. Yes. Because he made the sport so viable, crossing all lines. He brought a lot of new fans to the sport who are no longer there. So the sport keeps saying, please come back, please come back. And he's a shell of himself, but he's only 40. And for most athletes at 40, you know, as we just saw, we're going to talk about David Ortiz, he's 40 years old, and people are saying, boy, you better probably hang him up now, right? Because you've hit you can't have a better year than you just had, right. David Ortiz. It's time to go. Well, David Ortiz can't play until he's 60 years old because nobody can in that sport. Mm-hmm. But in golf, you could compete until you're 60. Tiger seems to keep himself in good enough shape. He could compete. But the thing is with Tiger is that mentally, forgetting the ACL, the Achilles, and the back injuries. Yeah. His is mental. And let's be realistic, Skip. Phil Mickelson was never Tiger Woods' rival. Tiger doubled him in majors and doubled him in victories, and he was on the tour before. So he really never had a true rival. Phil stood up to him head to head, but he couldn't do it in overall achievement. And the thing was that because when they got to where they needed to be, and Tiger was Tiger. Now I'm not talking about after 2009, but before 2009, nobody wanted to see. Mm-mm. It was never, well, who do you think's going to win? It was always, you want Tiger or you want the field. Correct. Now you can take Jordan Spieth, you can take Jason Day, you can take Dustin Johnson or Stenson or whomever. And for me, I'll take none of them because I got no use for there's nobody close to this guy. Exactly, and that's the thing. And I'm talking about in killer instinct, in mental toughness. That guy was the guy, Tiger Woods. It's sad, Skip. It's sad because you've never seen a guy this great in any sport. I defy you to find a sport where a guy was this great and one incident off the field or the course in this changed the complete dynamic, not only of the sport, but of his professional life. Unless it was traumatic injury, but this wasn't traumatic injury. Even Bobby Jones was in a car wreck that nearly cost him his life, Skip, and he came back. Ben Hogan, excuse me. You got it. Ben Hogan. Yeah. He came back and was great again. He won a U.S. Open at Marion in Philadelphia. But Tiger, this is the most powerful. These biceps and leg muscles, and I don't care how good you eat, and the massage therapists and the physios, you can have all that. You can. Give me a guy that has a concrete one of these, and I'll beat you every day. I got you. That keyword, vulnerable. I think hearing that from Tiger is the first 415 days since we've athletes never say that word, vulnerable. They will never, ever use that word. We're going to switch gears. We're going to talk a little basketball. So next up, Kevin Durant
Shocked the NBA when he joined the Warriors, but was it because of the Cavs? Grant watched the Warriors lose to the Cavs in the NBA Finals and said it was a factor in him going to Golden State. He added, once I sat down with these guys, everything that I wanted to know about them, they kind of showed me. But we don't have to talk about what would have happened if the Warriors had won the title because they didn't get the job done. And they came after me. I guess you'd say I'm glad that they lost, Skip. Do you have a problem?